Hi, I'm Steve Souza, founder of LiquiLite Software. Today I'd like to talk to you about how LiquiLite is going to revolutionize analytics. LiquiMap is a powerful, amazingly fast, incredibly easy to use web-based data visualization tool. In fact, it is so fast it can create a data visualization of 1 million data points and return it to a browser in less than 1/100th of a second. It is also patent pending and allows users to easily find patterns in any tabular dataset. In particular, it is great for time series and real-time data. Imagine you're an analyst asked to understand the patterns in this data. How would you analyze it? What is it trying to tell us? This spreadsheet contains web hit data from one of my clients, the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Each row represents one of the 24 hours of the day from midnight to 11 p.m. The columns contain 2 weeks of data. Each column represents a specific day of the month. And finally, each number inside a cell represents the number of hits during that hour of the day. As an analyst, what types of questions might you ask? How does this number relate to the whole data set? Is it big or small? We could look at questions about the rows too. For example, what time of day is busiest? Is it different for weekends or weekdays? Does it vary throughout the year? What about the columns? Which days are busiest? What is the busiest hour of each day? Are there seasonal effects? Is it busier today than it was the same time yesterday? Answering these types of questions is the key to improving your business, your profitability, and your customer satisfaction. Which leads to the most important type of question. What is in this data that you can't even think to ask about? LiquiMap solves the problems you didn't even know you had, and all at the click of a button. This spreadsheet takes up the whole screen, but it's only 2 weeks of data. I'm really excited about showing you the next slide. You'll see how LiquiMap can easily make sense of over 100 times more data than this. That's 5 years of data by hour. Here's our first LiquiMap. In this one little area of the LiquiMap, you can fit the entire spreadsheet that was on the previous page. That's pretty amazing. Let me show you how to read a LiquiMap. Just like the spreadsheet, the columns represent the day of the year, except we have a whole year's worth of days now. And the rows likewise represent the hour of the day, the only difference being that we have multiple years. Each pixel represents the number of hits in a given hour. So the way you would read this, the 24 hours of January 1st, 2006 would move down this way, and then January 2nd would start this way. And so time would march across here through 2006 till it got to the end, and it would go to 2007. LiquiMap allows any number of algorithms to be applied to a data set or more than one. In this case, our particular algorithm is partitioning the data set from relatively few hits to relatively high amount of hits in 4 colors. Now the colors and the number of colors are totally configurable. You can also see where the numbers are visible just by moving the mouse. Now you can see a number of different patterns within the LiquiMap, both long-term and short-term. For example, this red area is the work week, and you can see the weekends are this orange color, and it's separated. So we've learned that this site has more traffic during the week. But you can also see longer term patterns such as year-over-year patterns. Over here you can see 2005 is redder than subsequent years. You can see seasonal patterns such as up till the summertime it's busier, and then it takes a little bit off during the summer and then increases again during the fall. But you can also see anomalies such as here's an outage right there. For example, this is a very unusual point. You have a time where it's not that busy usually, but it was busy for this time frame. I looked up the public calendar of the zoo to see if I could figure out what was going on there, and turns out that's the birth of a baby panda, the 1-year birthday of the baby panda. So you can use this for both operational analytics and to help your business users understand their customers. LiquiMap is not about the typical graphics of presentation. Although it's useful for presentations, it's all about data discovery, finding patterns you didn't even know you were looking for. And surprisingly, when you remove the numbers from the display, you can actually see the patterns in the data more clearly. Think how fast image processing is, even on a TV, where it actually can redraw pixels in real time to keep up with real-time motion. As a data analyst, I've always been envious of that kind of performance, and so I brought that kind of performance into data analytics. So I'm actually generating this entire visualization off of not the real data, but a temporary representation of this data that I call a data proxy, which is an image. Surprisingly, the size aspect is very powerful too, because you can either ask and show more questions on the same data set and put them on the screen, or more powerfully, put up related data sets, such as log analytics. You could do all kinds of metrics for a log, such as the number of errors on that log per hour, the throughput on the server for the hour. And finally, LiquiMap's like the face of the data. Just like you can shrink down a picture of a human face to very small sizes and still see small differences, LiquiMap, you have that same capability. For example, if, let's say, this LiquiMap we have on the screen, we looked at it tomorrow and it was a little bit redder in 2009, we would probably notice this is bigger than that, because we can put many LiquiMaps on the screen and notice small differences and similarities between them. It's shocking how much you can even see a pixel or two difference in a sea of a million of them. But this is invaluable for helping us to better understand our data. Now we're going to take the same data set and apply one of the many LiquiMap algorithms to it, a different one. This is called the min-max algorithm. In this case, we're applying it to the row, and so what that means is it's going to take a particular time in a given year, let's say 4 a.m. in 2006, and slice the data horizontally and color any of the max numbers. The busiest we've been at 4 a.m. in 2006, red, the least busy, green, and anything in between is black. So we really get a sense where the busiest times were. In fact, you can see that this is actually the birth of the baby panda that we referenced earlier, is the busiest time for many hours throughout the entire year, which is a much bigger statement than we could make previously. And certainly you can see that was a wildly successful promotion. Interestingly, down here in 2009, this area was caused by the birth of a baby gorilla. So you can see where it's not only operational, but you can actually feed this into improving your business. And notice I didn't come up with the theory first. I just followed the patterns of the data and let them tell me what was interesting about the data. You can also apply these min-max algorithms to other aspects of the data. We applied it to the row in this case, but you could certainly apply it to the column, or maybe the min-max within the given month, for example. All of these would show different nuances of the data, and to do them all at a click of a button with LiquiMap is very easy. Okay, now I'm going to show you the power of putting up an amazing amount of related data sets. The top data set I have here is the hits one we've been looking at, and the one beneath it is for the same server, errors. Now, what we can do by looking at hits and errors is to see if our site is scaling okay. For example, you can see here we're at a time where hits right at this point are decreasing, but notice what happens to our errors. We actually get a point where they are increasing, and actually you can tell the exact time of day. I actually use this to send to developers and say, okay, what happened to your application at, say, a Friday at 4 p.m. And you can see here, at a time of relatively increasing traffic, it's getting redder, the errors actually went down. So maybe this is a good sign that you've done a bug release and you fixed your bugs. But you can imagine introducing other metrics for this server, or even many different servers on one screen, and just looking for patterns that span data sets. Or you could simply click on the images and let LiquiMap look for correlations. With LiquiMap, you can fit far more data on a cell phone than other technologies can on a desktop. And even still, the patterns are far more clear. Having this ability is invaluable as we move to a more mobile world. This is homicide data for the US, with red being above average and green being below average. But I'm not going to focus on the data set. I just really want to talk about the size of it. It's the equivalent of about 3 months of data by hour. And you can see here I show shrinking down. You can still see the patterns all the way down to the smallest size, and actually that smallest size is less than a pixel per data point. You can see you can get it quite a bit smaller and still see the basic patterns. In fact, you can shrink it so small that you can fit hundreds of them on an iPhone, as you can see there it is right there. And you could zoom them much like you could with the Google Maps to look at the data up close if it was interesting to you. Unlike any other technology out there, LiquiMap does an amazing job of showing a lot of data even on small devices like cell phones. Let's talk. LiquiMap is available for licensing, custom integration into vertical applications such as retail or server operations. And finally, Liquid Services offers analytics and visualization expertise. For any other questions, contact me at steve@liquidlight.com.